In this lesson, we're going to be focusing on tenses and a quite interesting kind of tense, and that's the perfect tense. Now, there are a few different types of perfect tenses within English, but today we're just going to look at past perfect and present perfect. Now, students at times often look at the perfect tense and think, wow, this is a bit scary. Now, it's not, and with practice it becomes easily used within our speaking. But the past perfect and present perfect are pretty easy to form, but it's also worth saying that they're used quite a lot within English speaking and English writing, reading too. So it's pretty important that we make sure we are able to form these really well. So don't be afraid of the perfect tense. And I think it's time that we take a look at the reasons for using these types of tenses. So these tenses are used to discuss events in the past and events happening up until now. So both past and present, although the perfect tenses really are used in slightly different way to the simple tenses. Okay, so imagine our timeline. We have past, present and future. Let's begin with the past perfect. So the past perfect is singling out, focusing on an event that happened in the past. Sounds a bit like the past simple. I ate yesterday. Well, in fact, the past perfect is talking about two events, but the focus is on the one that happened first. So we're saying an event happened before something else. So we're concentrating on an event happening first, before another situation. I'll give you some examples of this later. The present perfect is talking about now. We're looking at the result of an action that's been ongoing for an unspecified amount of time. But really we're talking about the result of this previous ongoing action that is the focus of the result. So we're saying it's happened and this is the result of that ongoing action in the past. Now, that's just to give you an idea. Past perfect, the action that happened before another action. Present perfect, the result of an action in the past. This will be much clearer with more examples, which, of course, we will move on to now. So the past perfect, an event in the past that happened before another action. And here are some examples that I'm sure you will appreciate. After he had finished reading, he went straight to sleep. So in this example, the focus is on reading. After he had finished reading, next, he went straight to sleep. So we can really split this up into two events. The first event, in terms of chronological time, was reading. The next event was sleep. After he'd finished reading, he went straight to sleep. And you'll notice there, I said that sentence a bit quicker and I contracted. He had, he'd. After he'd finished reading, he went straight to sleep. An event that happened before another action. Here's another example. When they had eaten their dinner, they played a game of cards. First, eat dinner. Second, play cards. But we're focusing on them eating dinner. When they'd eaten dinner, when they'd eaten their dinner, they played a game of cards after they played cards. So we can really see that the past perfect is talking about kind of two events in the past, but the focus is on the first event in time order. Now here is our structure. So we have a subject, he, they, we, she, pronouns to, with the auxiliary verb had. And then we need to use the past participle, whether that's eaten, eat, ate, eaten, or something similar. Your understanding of past participles is super important for the perfect tense, but it's just a matter of being able to use them and remember where different past participles are. Okay, so the past perfect. There we have a few examples. Subject, had, past participle, and then the rest of the sentence. Let's move on to the present perfect. So this is the result of an event now that happened sometime in the past. Here's an example. I have owned the same TV for years. I still have that TV. The result of this is I still have it. And also the result is that maybe it's quite old. I've owned the same TV for years. Here's another example. We haven't, have not, the negative form. We haven't swam for ages. We still haven't. We still haven't swam. We did in the past, but we haven't now. The result is that we haven't been in the swimming pool for a long time. We haven't swam for ages. So here we're talking about something that happened in the past and the result now. We haven't swam for ages in the last few weeks. We still haven't. We still haven't been in the swimming pool. I've owned the same TV for years. I haven't changed it. The TV is still the same. That's the result. Okay, so we form the present perfect with subject, has or have, the auxiliary verbs there, plus the past participle. And then you can continue the sentence on. Subject, has, have, plus the past participle. So we can see that the past perfect and the present perfect are quite different. But if we're just looking at their structure from a grammatical point of view, they're really not that difficult to make. Of course, our understanding of the past participles will be really important here. For example, eaten is a past participle very different to eat, ate. Okay, let's jump into a live speaking video and we'll take a look at some more examples. So we will begin with the past perfect. And remember, the past perfect is all about an action or event that happened before another action or event. And we do that with subject plus had or hadn't plus the past participle. Remember, had is positive, hadn't, had not, contraction, hadn't is negative. Let's take a look at an example. The taxi had gone, so I walked home. First event, the taxi left, the taxi had gone. So, action 2, I walked home instead. The taxi had gone, so I decided to walk home. There we're using the past perfect to talk about the first action and the consequence, which was the next action, which was me sadly walking home. The taxi had gone, so I walked home. Here's a second example. We had finished the meeting, then we started lunch. We'd finished the meeting, then we started lunch. So there we have the subject, we, with the auxiliary verb had. Contraction to we'd, much more native sounding. We'd finished the meeting, then had lunch. Event 1, first event in time order, the meeting. The next event later was having lunch. We'd finished the meeting, then we went for lunch. And now on to the present perfect, which really is about the now and the result of events happening in the past. So, and we really do this with a subject, has or have, plus the past participle. Now, in terms of our auxiliary verb has or have, we only use have with the third person singular. He, she, or it. Has is for all the other different subjects we can use. So have is just for the third person singular. He, she, or it. Let's take a look at some examples. She has submitted her coursework. She submitted her coursework. So here we're saying that maybe this lady had been working for a while on her coursework, then started submitting it. The result, she submitted her coursework already. She has submitted her coursework already. Here's another example of the present perfect. They have sung together for a long time. Let's try it with the contraction. They've sung together for a really long time. So here we have the past participle, sung. Present, sing. Past, sang. Past participle, sung. They've sung together for such a long time. Subject, they. Auxiliary verb, have. They've. They've sung together for a really long time. Okay, so that is some examples of the present perfect, as well as just before the past perfect for you. It's a really important tense, and of course it's really important that we make sure that we're forming and structuring our language in the right order, because that really does boost our overall fluency within speaking.